All right, later this month, the International Conference on Men's Issues will take place at the Doubletree Suites Hotel in Detroit with some extra security.
That's because the confab has received several death threats from people who say it's a gathering of women haters. Now, Dean Esme says nothing could be further from the truth. He's helping to organize the event and says his group is just standing up for men's issues.
And joining him is Professor Heather Dalloway. She's a professor of sociology and gender studies at Wayne State. Let's start with Dean. First of all, I have to help me out here. A conference on men's issues?
Yes, sir.
I thought men's have all the advantages in the world these days.
That's utter nonsense. Men are routinely ground up in a family court system that is misandrist and biased against them. They're ground up by a court system that is biased against men of all races. They are the majority of the homeless. They are the majority of suicides. They are the majority of the drug addicted. They are the majority of the unemployed. They are the majority of school dropouts. They are a majority of those in prison. They are now an increasing minority in education.
It's going to be a long conference.
Are they the majority of perhaps some of the people that might be causing these problems that land them in the court system or under investigation or responds to every situation that you just listed? I mean, how do we know that they're not the cause of these problems?
Ideological feminism is a multi-billion-dollar hate industry funded by lies about rape and domestic violence, and they are the cause of a lot of very civil rights trashing laws like the Violence Against Women Act, even though we know domestic violence is not a gendered issue, and they have
Heather,
big money interests in stopping
What do
Yeah.
you think about that? Is he right?
No. I mean, I think that to give feminism that much credit is kind of crazy. I mean, feminism has been a movement that has fought for lots of rights for women, but only because those rights haven't existed for the long haul.
So you think you're at a disadvantage because you're a man?
I think many men are at a disadvantage specifically for a man. I'm certainly a working class man. You see me sitting here with a missing tooth because I can't afford to fix it. This lady probably makes 4 times what I do.
But doesn't that come down to your own ability, education?
Well, women
personal?
receive preferential treatment now in higher education, and are in fact a majority of college students now, by far.
Well, why is your group a hate group? People have called you a hate group. Why do you think that is?
Because we dare to criticize feminism. The women and men of our movement frequently criticize feminism because it is a movement which controls a lot of money.
I read something that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was your group wrote that 57% of date rape victims enjoyed the experience. Is that true?
No, it's not true.
But that was on your website.
Yeah, you have to read the entirety of that article.
But why put something like that on your website? Doesn't that discredit whatever it is you're trying to do?
You're talking about a 3-year-old satire article that was talking about the way that feminists frequently distort and mess up statistics on things like rape. In fact, rape and sexual assault are not a gendered issue, but feminist groups and researchers like Mary Koss out of the University of Arizona have cooked the statistics to make it look like a gendered issue when it is not. That is a satire article.
Well, Professor, when we talk about this, though, listen, I don't know. Women seem today, we just talked about Mary Barra, head of General Motors. We just talked about, I mean, women have all the rights today, don't they? And the opportunities today, don't they? That men would have.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's not true. I mean, if you look at how much men make versus women, I mean, women are still making between 75 cents and 80 cents per man's dollar. I mean, women are not actually getting the health care they need. Women are skipped over for jobs plenty of the time. I mean, when it comes to courts, I mean, women are not winning cases. Women aren't even reporting things like rape and sexual assault most of the time.
When you hear a group, a conference like Dean is having, how does that make you feel?
So there's been a whole history of male backlash against feminist successes or what people see as feminist success. So when women gain any kind of publicity or rights, there's often a counterpart.
Men are jealous?
I think it's scary, right? I mean, if you are someone watching someone else get a piece of candy, right, and you say you see that, and you don't realize that maybe you've already got some rights. It's hard to contextualize that and think about whether other people deserve the rights too. And
now, Mr. Esme, though, let's get to you though real quickly. I mean, your group is being accused of actually sending death threats to feminist groups and angering and threatening them for some of the comments that they've made.
That's just a horrible lie. We've never ever done any such thing. Anytime any such thing has even remotely come on our radar, we've condemned it. Anybody who comes on our site and even says things that hint at violence, such as "I'm going to kick your butt" or "You should. I hope somebody hurts you." Boom, we throw them out.
Why do you think
We're
that people are saying
nonviolent.
this about your men's rights group? Or do you think that there might be just a few among them that might be acting out in this manner?
Well, there's nobody in our group that's been acting out. What we've mostly seen is the backlash radicals who are who basically hate men and boys, gay men, black men, Jewish men, whatever. They hate men, and that's why these backlash radicals are trying to stop our conference from happening.
But you're blaming the family court, for example, because you say men don't get equal treatment in court. Are you saying the courts are no good?
The courts are deeply corrupt, and it is in part due to feminist influence down in Lansing and in Congress and at the federal level, and it happens all over the United States.
It doesn't have anything to do with men not living up to what their expectation is?
Men are expected to live up to the same expectations they were 100 years ago. Women have all the same privileges that they've always had, and women have always been privileged over men in many, many, many ways, and women have always been very powerful in many, many ways.
Judges these days.
In fact, more women are judges these days.
Well, thank goodness that there's more.
I'm just saying. There are more women judges.
That's like saying,
was that a gift?
President.
I'm just saying, though, it would seem to me, maybe, I don't know if he's got a point over here, but he says, listen, is it a prejudice, though? Is there a prejudice that women have against men? That's what, at least
yes, they believe we're violent when there's no proof of that whatsoever. You know, it used to be 100 years ago, a white woman just had to point to a black man and said he raped me, and they would lynch that man. Nowadays,
that's about racism.
And then this is an overgeneralization.
Now it's
talking about.
Oftentimes the cops arrest the man first when there's a domestic assault, take the man away for the most part, and then ask questions.
Not always.
But they're never convicted, first of all. You know, if you look at how many cases of domestic violence actually end up in a conviction, it's less than 5%.
That's because they don't need a conviction. They go through civil courts and they get these ex parte hearing orders, and they are guilty until proven innocent, and frequently go to jail without due process. That's happening right now in the city of Detroit. That is happening right now across the state of Michigan.
Who are members of your group, though? That's what I want to know. Are they all races, all sexual?
At our conference, we're going to have Senator Ann Cools, who's the first female black senator in North America and opened one of the first domestic violence shelters in North America. Aaron Pitsey, who started the modern anti-battered women's shelter movement. We have black men, Asian men, people coming up from Asia,
June 27th and
Australia.
28th at the Doubletree Hotel.
26th, 27th, 28th. We're thinking about pulling out of the Doubletree.
Last word, Heather.
Yeah, I think that it's not the actual conference program that's the problem. If you look at the conference program, it's not not an issue. It's all of the social media that's very anti-feminist. It's the messages that are being sent by the group.
All right,
yeah,
Professor Dean, thank you. We'll be watching for that. That's it for this edition of Let It Rip Weekend.
Fox News Sunday is next. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.